Digital A11Y Insights, your accessibility partner. Accessibility for all, technology for everyone.
Raghavendra from digitala11y.com, and I am going to cover a few more topics today, specifically ARIA described by, ARIA labeled by, using the title attribute on form controls. And last week we discussed where we stopped as we discussed about explicit labels using ARIA label and how ARIA label takes precedence over the explicit label input. Any questions from last session? Any questions and last few sessions that we did? I think I already shared the recordings folder also with everyone. So any questions? If there are no questions, we'll move. And today what we'll do is we'll first, since we stopped at ARIA label, we'll understand ARIA labeled by, and then we'll use the title attribute, and then we'll go with the ARIA described by. So we learned how to use explicit label and ARIA label, and ARIA label by is not something very different from those. So what we'll do. So let's just say you already have a visible label like your first name, but your first name is not associated with the form control, which is the text field. We said you can give ARIA label, but what if you want to use the label that is already visible over there instead of writing ARIA label? So you can refer the same ARIA labeled by using the visible label using the ARIA labeled by. So we'll do it with an example. So I'll open another. So right now this is not associated. If you look at, I'm slowing down screen reader.
Raghav, your screen is not shared, I guess.
Oh, you should tell me.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm sharing my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You see my edit screen, like I'm on the WordPress editor here in the HTML. So
Slower. Less div greater. Less label ID equals quote P1 quote greater password less slash label greater. Less input type equals quote text quote greater.
So I have not associated the text field here.
End enter.
Let's just
less slash div greater.
Okay.
Less input type equals less slash div greater. Numlock version.
We'll save this.
Edit page text doc design save preview button menu save graph button enter editor top bar region save graph button test page bullet digital A11 wrap in the top search first name edit last name edit wrap in the top search for colon search edit F5 test page bullet digital A11Y dash test page bullet digital search for colon search first name edit last name is edit password region password edit type of text.
And the password is coming from this one. We'll go with NVDA.
Test page bullet digital.
I just opened NVDA.
Welcome to NVDA. OK button. Test page. Content. Main landmark. Article. Password edit has autocomplete blank. Last name is new. Must edit has password edit has autocomplete blank.
So we'll take this page. We'll
Desktop.
open in Chrome.
Google Chrome 1 run. Test page bullet digital A11Y Google Chrome. Test page bullet digital A11. Clickable main landmark test page. Bread off rock. Last name is password edit blank.
So password is getting associated. We have to see how. Let's run X and see.
Alert. Main tool. Panels tab control. Menu select. X def. Alert. Frame nav. Sign in button. Main landmark dismiss. Scan all of my page. Analyzing your page. Overview tab selected. Complementary landmark best practices switch off. You must save your export button. Toggle collapse button expand. Try for free button. Toggle collapse button expanded. Complementary landmark button export. Button unavailable. You must save your total issues heading level 0.
No issues.
Test page bullet. Desktop. Outlook. Firefox. Test page bullet. Blank. Edit page. Editor. Clickable HTML. Edit multi-line. Edit. Less/div greater. Less input type equals text greater. Less label ID equals P1 greater password less/label greater. Less div greater.
There's no association, but how did it pass?
Test page bullet digital blank. Blank. Content. Main landmark. Document. Password edit tool. Extensions menu. Digital A11Y tablets has access to this dialog. Visited link table row 2 row 3 images row 4 forms toggle pressed. Toolbar. Test page bullet. Content info main landmark. Less label wrapped gift greater password less input no ID greater.
Yeah, it isn't.
Last name is
But,
must edit enter last name will.
Yes, Srinivas.
It is actually placed inside the label. That's why it is getting associated.
Less
Input
label
tag
wrapped
is
gift greater password
in the
less
label.
input no ID greater.
I think it became
Desktop.
implicit.
Out. Firefox 1. Edit page. Less/div greater. Less input type equals text ID equals L2 placeholder equals enter last name ARIA label equals last name is spelling. Less/div. Less input type equals text greater. Less label ID equals P1 greater password less/label greater. Less div greater. Less label ID less div greater.
Okay, I'll remove
Less
the div.
select less blank less input less label ID equals P1 greater password less/label greater.
Okay,
Blank.
let's.
Less L-A-B-E-L greater. F U-L E L-A-B-E-L greater. N less I-N-P-U-T-T-Y-P-E equals quote T-E-X-T quote greater. Less label greater full name less/label greater. Less input type less label less/div greater. Less label greater less blank less L-O-M greater blank less input blank less /L-O-R-M greater. Less/form greater.
So what I did is I opened a form tag.
Less input type less label great less form greater.
I opened a form tag and then I put label text field.
Less label greater full name less/label greater. Less input type equals text greater. Less label ID equals P1 greater password less/label greater. Less input type equals text greater. Less/form greater.
Pranita, is the code clear for you?
Yes, Raghav, it's clear.
Okay. So
Out of
let's
edit
see
list
what happens.
redo doc clickable save draft but saving test page bullet digital A11 busy.
It should not generally
Test page,
identify any of the.
clickable toolbar navigate no next edit out of main landmark article last name is new must edit has autocomplete blank. Edit has autocomplete blank.
Yeah.
Password edit has autocomplete blank.
For some reason, password is being picked up. I don't know why, but I think it is coming from the CMS, maybe. Because I use WordPress, maybe it is coming from there.
Edit has autocomplete blank.
So what we will do, now we have full name here.
Out of region main menu.
If you see
Test page, last name is new must edit. Edit has full name.
you have full name here.
Edit has autocomplete.
Okay. So what we are going to do is we are going to use ARIA labeled by to associate full name.
Full name.
So ARIA labeled by can be used only when there is something visible on the screen. Okay, or something that is not even, let's just say you hid it with the CSS or something, and especially with position absolute, like it should be there on the page. It should be there in the DOM, which is exposed to screen readers. So, and you can associate it with the form control. So let's just
edit page test page digital link skip to main content links clickable section editable 1 out of section main landmark clickable editor clickable paragraph blocked clickable HTML edit less input less label ID equals P less input type equals less label greater less full less label A B L greater F greater space I D equals quote F1 quote quote 1 F quote
So I choose the ID as F1 for the label. Okay. And
less input type equals line feed greater space ARIA dash LABELLED equals equal spelling out of spelling error equal greater quote F1 quote
so I see the code now.
less label ID equals F1 greater full name less slash label greater less input type equals
Raghav.
text spelling error ARIA Label.
Yes.
Raghav, 1 second. For the second case, screen reader automatically picked password, correct? So actually there is a coding problem. That is label is not closed for the password. Can you go down?
Less label ID equals P1 greater password less slash label greater
Yeah. Can you go
label greater
before
less input
label?
type equals
There is
text
a comma.
less
There is
label
a
ID
comma.
equals P1 greater password less ID P1 greater password less slash greater P A S F O R D less slash comma L slash L A B E L greater
Yeah, there's a mistake in the typo there. Yes.
Yeah.
less input type equals text.
Yeah. So now we have given ARIA labeled by for the full name. Okay. Let's see
Custom
how.
HTML block. Out of list doc click save preview menu save draft saving unavailable drafts test page bullet busy test page bullet clickable main clickable toolbar navigation landmark out of banner landmark primary navigation main landmark main last name is must edit has auto complete blank full name edit has auto complete blank edit has auto complete blank.
You see, Pranita, we corrected the password field. It is not now.
Edit focused has auto complete blank.
It is identified as edit only. Now, if I shift tab,
full name edit has auto complete blank.
So what I did is the full name is a visible label here, correct?
Full name.
I used ARIA labeled by. So I gave an ID to the label tag. Then I used ARIA labeled by to refer that label for this particular.
Edit has auto complete.
Yeah.
And you can refer that ARIA labeled by anywhere with anything. Like, let's just say I have an image. Okay. When we come to images, I'll show you how we provide alt text using ARIA labeled by. It's the same technique. There's no difference. See here, elements will change, but the technique is same. Either you use ARIA label, ARIA labeled by, title attribute, alt tag for images. Whereas in form controls, you use the label, title, ARIA labeled by. Okay.
Okay. So Raghav, if for example, if any image is there and if I use a labeled ARIA labeled by equals to the ID which you gave in the full name label. So same thing it will pick over there.
Yes, I can show some example. Right?
Edit page test page out of clickable HTML edit multi-line less div role equals edit less slash form greater blank.
No, I'm opening in.
IMG space SRC equals quote EAMPLE dot JPED DG quote.
Okay.
Space.
Instead of I'm providing
ARIA dash K LABELLED equals quote equals quote F1 quote greater less spelling error IMG spelling error SRC equals example spelling error JPEG spelling error ARIA Labelled By equals F1 greater.
Okay, that's the ID we used. Let's see what happens.
Out of edit list document clickable save draft button saving unavailable test page bullet digit busy test page bullet digit clickable mainland clickable toolbar navigation landmark out of banner landmark prime main last name full name edit has auto complete blank.
So after this password field we write. At least visually no one can see any image, but it will identify an image tag there.
Graphic full name.
You see that?
Yeah.
Content info main landmark graphic full name.
I'll repeat it again.
Content info main landmark graphic full name.
Is this concept clear, Srinivas?
Yes, Raghav.
Neha, anyone else is here? I don't know. Praise. Praise, you're a developer. I know, understand you already know all this.
Yes. This is correct.
Okay.
Generally we use these ARIA label in all ebooks because I used to convert ebooks from the PDF.
So this is where you associate content and relationships, Pranita. You can use ARIA label, or if already there is already text visibly available, you give an ID, whichever tag it is in. If it is a span, paragraph, or whatever tag, you give the ID to that particular and refer that using ARIA label.
Okay. So even in paragraph, it will work, right?
No,
In
ARIA labeled by
paragraph
will
tag.
not work for paragraphs. ARIA label, it will not
ID,
work
if
on
I'm
this.
using-
ID will work, yeah. It doesn't have to be a label tag. Even for p tag, I can give. So for the same image, if I have to
Edit page, test page. Out of
let's
region,
just say,
main, clickable paragraph, block document, edit, clickable HTML, edit,
let's just put it.
less slash form greater, line, less, p,
Okay.
space, ID, equals, quote, F, 1, 1, 2, quote, greater, A, I, S, S, A, S, A, M, P, E, space, I, A, G, E, D, E, F, C, R, I, P, T, I, O, N, comma, less, slash, p, greater, less spelling error IMG spelling error SRC equals example. Spelling error JPEG spelling error ARIA Labelled By equals F1 greater. Blank greater. Quote. 1. Quote. 1. Quote. Space. F. 2.
I think comma is required. You can give multiple IDs also. Let's see what happens.
Out of edit list read doc click save draft but saving draft saved. Test page bullet digit busy. Test page bullet digital clickable main landmark first full name. This is a sample image description graphic. This is a sample image description.
That's the paragraph visibly available. Okay.
Edit has autocomplete.
Yeah.
Password.
Password.
Edit has autocomplete. This is a sample image description.
I put it after the password field, correct? Now
Yes.
you listen to the graphic, what happens.
Graphic full name. This is a sample image description.
Okay.
It's just reading first ID label.
It takes both IDs and it will read.
Yes. Got it.
ARIA labeled by concept is clear, Renita?
Yes, Raghav, it's clear.
Okay. Now we'll do ARIA described by. So now form elements will have something called hints, correct? Like, you know, let's just take password. Now password is 8 characters, use a special character, keep it strong or whatever. Now when you tab into the password, it will say password edit. It will not read the extra text that is there. So it's often suggested that you provide extra text to the whatever the hint that is provided, which is we call instruction. So forms have few things that we need to check. All forms fields should have visible labels. All form fields should have programmatic label or accessible name. Programmatic is what we are seeing, like the label tag with for and ID, ARIA label, ARIA labeled by. This is programmatic label. And any form field that has an instruction must be exposed to screen reader. Like the instruction is visibly available for people, but screen reader users, it's not immediately available, correct? When I tab. So it should be available. So we use ARIA described by. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
So we have to use ARIA described by to associate the
Edit page.
Instruction.
Preview menu button collapsed sub menu. Editor clickable paragraph block clickable HTML edit. Less spelling error IMG less PI less slash form greater less input type equals text greater line greater line feet less
I can take a span tag.
S P A N space ID equals quote D 1 quote greater space P A S W R D M U S T B E space E A T A A C T E R S space M I N I M U M space D space B E S T R O F G dot space O L W B E S T space P R A C T C E S less slash S P A N greater.
Okay, I opened see this.
Less span ID equals D1 greater. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Spelling error. Follow best practices. Less / span greater.
Okay, Pranita, now what I'm doing is
Less input type equals text line greater space. Less label ID equals P1 greater. Password less line greater. ARIA dash LABELLEDBY equals Y equals quote P1 quote space ARIA dash DESCRIBEDBY equals quote D1 quote greater. Less input type equals text. Spelling error. ARIA Labelled By equals P1 spelling error. ARIA Described By equals D1 greater. Line D1 spelling error. Described CRIBEDBY out of spelling error equals.
so I gave ARIA labeled by, then I used ARIA described by because this is a description.
Yeah.
This is a hint, correct?
Hmm.
So I'll update. So it should read the label.
Out of edit list read doc click save draft button. Saving unavailable. Test page bullet digital A busy. Test page bullet digital A11Y busy. Clickable links. Main landmark first name edit has autocomplete. Main last name is new must edit has autocomplete. Full name edit has autocomplete blank. Password edit has autocomplete. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices blank.
I'm going back
Yes.
again, okay?
Rate 90 rate 85. Rate 80. Full name edit has autocomplete blank. Password edit has autocomplete. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices blank.
Yes.
So, Rakwaneha here, you gave as span the description and then ARIA. So, because there is this thing is in span and ARIA, so only ARIA will be reading and span gets disabled. The content given in the span.
No,
My
it is reading
understanding is like twice it
span.
will read.
No, it will not. So if you see the code here,
Edit page
the code is only once.
Editor clickable paragraph clickable HTML edit less span ID equals D1 greater. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Spelling error. Follow
Yeah.
best practices less / span greater.
I used a span tag just to open. It's like a opening and closing tag. So division tags and span tags are attributes, like how you have p tag for paragraph, h tag for heading. These are just there as attributes, and I can use even heading to associate it. It doesn't matter which tag I'm using. I can use ARIA described by to use it, but you should use the appropriate, correct? You can't put a heading and hint inside a heading and associate it. So I just took span. I can take a paragraph also.
Hmm.
Okay.
No, what I'm trying to ask here is now you have given this thing, right? Without giving ARIA description, it will read,
No,
right?
it will not. It will not. I
The
associated.
description is
I
already
associated
given in the span.
the description. I have to write in the span tag, correct? This
Okay.
the span tag contains the hint that is available visibly. It
Yeah.
is part of the code. If I don't give the description, like I'm removing the, let's just say I'm removing the ID for the
Less in line greater quote 1 D1
I'm making D1 2, let's just say
D1 H.
Now that ID doesn't exist for ARIA described by. What will happen is
Out of edit list read doc click save draft but saving test page bullet busy. Test page bullet digital clickable main landmark main last name full name password edit has autocomplete blank.
it will not read the description. I have to use browse mode.
This is a sample image description. Edit has autocomplete greater. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices.
So that's what here is the thing.
No,
If you
you
don't
here. No, here you did not. I did not use a break tag.
Edit page.
So, see, you need to learn HTML from scratch. I'm not teaching HTML.
Out of clickable HTML.
not-
Edit.
Yeah.
Less
just copy.
What happens?
less
Yeah.
input-
What happens is.
Less label ID equals
So,
P1.
what happens is.
Less input type equals text spell. Less input type equals text spelling error ARIA. Less span ID. Less line greater line. Less BR greater. Out of read document clickable save draft save draft save.
And this is a problem of NVDA also,
Busy.
where it combines
Test page.
elements and read it.
Click no next edit field. Out of mainland clickable edit has autocomplete. Full name edit password edit has autocomplete. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices. This is a sample. Password must be 8. Edit has autocomplete greater.
You see that now it doesn't read it because I gave a break tag. If I don't give a break tag, what NVDA does is it combines the span tag with the edit field and it was reading it. And people often think when they see in browse mode that association is there. Only when you do
Content in
see, this is where I say don't use browse mode to test forms. You have to use only forms mode.
main landmark article. Password edit has autocomplete blank.
Okay. Understood.
Because see,
So association.
having clean HTML is more important sometimes for screen readers to interpret something. Just because we did not give break tag, what Neha was saying is correct. Like it was reading the password field, edit, and it read the description. If you're using browse mode, people will think that it is having the association. It is not.
Correct. Okay.
Neha, you understood?
Yes, I was clear, Raghav. Question is like if you don't give ARIA description also, I mean don't tag that. Um, to my understanding, it will read, right? It will
It will
not read.
not. It will not. Because there is no programmatically, you did not associate this with that, correct? ARIA described by is for describing the hint and
Hmm.
associating it. And you did not give it. This is like label only. If you don't label, if you don't do the label association, it will not read
Mm-hmm.
the label. If you don't associate the description, it will not read the description.
Okay.
This all should be done programmatically. Otherwise, it will not read. None of this will be read out to screen readers. Forms, especially, you have to test in forms mode.
Okay.
To get the clear understanding, but to see if visible labels are there, to understand if any hints are there quickly to browse through the form, we can use browse mode quickly. And this is for screen reader users specifically because we don't know what is there on the screen. You can quickly use down arrow to in the browse mode to navigate and do the discovery, then tab and see if it is reading the same thing that you experienced in the browse mode. Okay.
Understood.
So now we have seen how ARIA described by giving idea of ARIA described by, we associated the description. Now I can do the title attribute also. Let's just put
Edit
it there.
page test page. Out of clickable HTML edit multi-line. Editor less span ID less spelling error BR greater. Less input type line greater. Space. TITLE equals. Quote. UFE space BE S T space RACTES PAS OORD quote. Less input type equals text spelling error ARIA Labelled By equals P1 spelling error ARIA Described By equals H1 greater title equals use best practices for password greater.
Okay, I used a title attribute.
Out
Raghava,
of list
before title attribute, greater than is present.
Okay.
Edit clickable HTML. Less spelling error BR greater. Less input line greater. Password 4. Practices best use title equals space greater quote. H1 greater. Quote H1 quote. Greater space T. Less input type equals text spelling error ARIA Labelled By equals P1 spelling error ARIA Described By equals H1 title equals use best practices for password greater.
Okay.
Out of edit out of read doc click preview menu save draft saving unavailable test page busy test page bullet digital clickable main landmark first Main last name is new. Must edit has full name edit has autocomplete blank. Password edit has autocomplete. Use best practices for password blank.
If you see, it read the label, then it read the title.
Can you repeat, Raghava?
Okay.
Full name edit has autocomplete blank. Password edit has autocomplete. Use best practices for password blank.
Okay.
Listen to it.
Title.
Password edit focused has autocomplete. Use best practices for password blank.
So I can give the hint even in the title attribute, but title attribute is not a conventional like title. If you mouse hover on the element, you can see the title attribute as a small tooltip. But whereas when
Yes.
keyboard users navigate and on touchscreen devices, that tooltip is not visible. So that is why title attribute is not a recommended method other than you can give as a label. Let's just say
Edit page test.
now
Out of clickable HTML edit less spelling error BR greater. Less span ID equal less line greater line less greater M space PAS double RD less slash LABEL greater less INPUT space TYPE equals quote TEXT quote space TITLE equals quote CONIM PASWORD less greater less BR greater less input type equals text title equals confirm password greater less label greater confirm password less slash label greater.
so I opened the label. Yeah.
Double quote after password.
Less input type equals text title equals confirm password greater. Less label greater confirm password less slash space M confirm password less slash AWORD less slash LABEL greater less
On
input
field.
less type equals TEXT quote space quote TEXT quote TEXT quote space title equals ITLE equals quote password greater ASWORD greater quote D. Out of list read doc click save draft but saving unavailable.
So Neha and Pranita, what I did is
Saved.
I opened the label.
Saved.
I opened the label. I did not use ARIA label or ARIA labeled by. I did not use the foreign ID. I just used the title attribute. So let's
Test
see
page
how it
busy.
reads.
Test page bullet. Clickable content info landmark mainland full name edit has autocomplete blank. Password edit has autocomplete. Use best practices for password blank. Confirm password edit has autocomplete blank.
So these are some of the methods of giving accessible name computation. Is this clear? This is specifically for forms.
Yes,
The
Understood.
label attribute is available for forms, like the label tag is available for forms. For images, we use alt tag.
Yes. Understood.
Any questions?
Yeah, please confirm whether my understanding is correct or not. So ARIA labeled by and ARIA described by both functions same, but only ARIA labeled by we use it for only labeling elements, and for described by is for giving some additional description about that form field. Correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So if I show you an example, when you give an ARIA described by, what happens is there is a small delay. Like first it will read the label, then it will give you a very minor delay and it will read the description. We gave it for the this image, correct? Listen to what happens.
Full name. This is a sample image description graphic.
Okay, we'll do it.
Edit page test. Edit clickable section edit clickable section editable out clickable HTML. Less label greater confirm less spelling error BR greater. Less input type equals text spelling error ARIA Labelled By equals P1 spelling error ARIA Described By equals H1 title equals use best practices for line pat 4 practice best you type H1 quote H1
So
D
D1, correct?
D quote D1
So let's see.
Out of read document, click save draft button, saving unavailable.
I left the ARIA described by and title. Let's see what happens.
Test page bullet. Busy. Test page bullet digital A11. Clickable link. Main landmark first. Main full name edit. Password edit has auto-complete. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices blank.
It did not take the title attribute.
Yes.
Because ARIA
Yeah,
described by will ARIA described by will take the precedence. And if you see ARIA described by will be little delete.
Full name edit has auto-complete blank. Password edit has auto-complete. Password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices blank.
Yes.
All screen reader users is clear. See,
Yeah,
these are the
one,
fund. Yeah, tell me.
yeah, I was just asking, apart from this label tag, if we are, if we are using custom widgets, then
Give an ID instead of label. If I can use span also, correct?
Edit page test page.
I'll make this.
Editor clickable paragraph block document editable. Clickable HTML. Less input type, less label ID equals P1 greater, less, L, A, B, E, L, space, S, P, A, N, less span, P, A, N, I, P1, password less slash, label great, L, slash, less, L, A, B, E, L, greater, S, P, A, N, span, P, A, N, greater, less span ID equals P1 greater, password less slash span greater. Less input type equals text spelling error ARIA Labelled By equals.
So I used just a span tag there. Okay.
You are currently in out of list read doc click save draft saving draft saved test busy test page bullet digital links main landmark first name full name edit has password edit has auto complete password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices blank.
yes.
It doesn't matter what is it, the tag. ARIA is that you should have the HTML either div or span something for you to start working towards it.
Yeah, Raghav. It's clear now.
Okay. Neha, any questions before we jump to the next?
Raghava, hi, good evening. I
Good
have
evening.
one question here.
Yes.
Yeah, we used here the input tag, right, for password field. There we use the ARIA label equal to, we are provided that the ID.
Yes.
Why we use the ARIA label by?
To associate the label, the visible label with the form control.
Okay, we can provide the foreign ID, right? We can use the ARIA label also for that.
Yes, you can use ARIA label for end ID. You can use the title attribute. You can use the ARIA labeled by also. So I was showing all the ways that you can fix the same thing. And you'll encounter any one of these, correct? In your projects where they provided the ID, they did not associate it. The ARIA labeled by attribute is empty.
Yes.
They forgot to put the ID there.
Yeah.
So it also depends on how fast you can, like, for me to write ARIA label, again, I have to see, you need to understand first name, F capital, N capital, or all capital letters. So the content editor has to literally take what is there in the visible label and put it in the form field as ARIA label, correct? Why that hassle? If you can give an ID there, associate it here, correct? It's easier.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Haven't seen before actually. Label.
Yeah. If you imagine.
Labeled by. That's the reason I'm asking. Because I have joined late. After 20 minutes I have joined. Yeah, that's the reason I got this question. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Clear for me, Raghava. Thank you.
Neha?
Yeah, Raghava, I'm good.
all clear with the title attribute and ARIA labeled by also, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Next is very interesting. We are going to checkboxes and radio buttons. And we will be continuing the checkboxes and radio button using both ARIA and non-ARIA methods. First, we'll check native implementation. Okay. Now,
Edit page, test page, out of reach, clickable HTML, edit editor, less spelling error, less slash form greater, less span ID equals D1 line greater, line fee,
now I have to
less INPU T space T Y P E equals RAI O greater MALE
sorry.
male selected,
Okay.
line feed,
I'll give
less L slash greater, label greater, slash less greater, less slash greater, line greater, line less INPUT equals quote RADIO quote greater, less LABEL greater, FEMALE less slash LABEL greater, label greater, female less slash, less input type, less span ID, line greater, line less SPAN greater, GENDER less slash SPAN greater, less span greater.
Okay, team, I might not be writing everything semantic correct code, but for our examples, I think this is good enough. Okay. I'm not following every best practice in the coding book. Actually, we have to use the div tag, then the span tag. There's a lot of rules. I'm just for this example, I'm going.
Less input type.
So what I did is I opened a span tag.
Less span greater gender less slash span greater.
And I opened two radio buttons here.
Less input type equals radio greater less label greater male less slash label greater. Less input type equals radio greater less label greater female less slash label greater.
So if you see, there are no association, correct?
Less slash form greater.
So we'll see what
you
happens.
are currently in navigation. Out of read doc click save draft saving test page bullet busy. Test page bullet digital A links main landmark first name edit main last full name password edit confirm password radio button not checked. Radio button not checked.
I do shift tab.
Radio button not checked.
I do tab.
Radio button not checked.
You see, it will identify it as radio button not checked. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll give labels for them first.
Edit page test page out of clickable HTML. Editor content less PID less slash form greater. Less input type type equal radio greater less ADIO quote greater space ARIA dash LABEL equals quote FEMALE quote.
I would have preferred the ARIA labeled by, but
less input type radio greater less ADIO greater space ARIA dash LABEL equals quote MALE quote less span greater gender less slash less input type equal.
So we gave the male female as ARIA label and it will read that.
Out of redo document clickable save draft but unavailable saving draft saved. Test busy. Test page bullet digital.
So I'm just pressing
link skipped
the R key.
Main landmark male radio button not checked. Female radio button not checked.
If I went to shift tab like
confirm main landmark article male radio button not checked. Female radio button not checked.
I'm pressing tab here. I'm not pressing up and down arrow. Neha, Pranita and Harshini Srinivas.
So
Male radio
here
button
I
not checked.
have this question, Raghava, for
What?
tab and arrow key. For tab and arrow keys, I have a question. So when we are actually, I faced this challenge today. When we are navigating through tab, it's working fine, and when we are navigating through arrow keys, it's not. So why that happens, and how can we make sure that it works same with both?
I'll explain both. Okay.
Confirm password edit has autocomplete blank.
That's why I made a very specifically, I told that female.
Male radio button not checked.
Male.
Female radio button not checked.
I'm using tab key. If I use up arrow, nothing will happen. If I use down arrow, nothing will happen. Actually, all screen readers users know that in radio buttons, we have to use up and down arrow to navigate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Edit page text.
So now what I will do,
clickable paragraph, block doc, clickable HTML.
More question
Less
I have
input
with
type.
this radio button itself.
Your voice is breaking. Yeah.
Can you hear now?
Yes. Yes.
So one more question I have before you proceed. I have seen there are cases where it reads radio button separately, and then the, for example, here we would use male and female radio button. Then next with arrow keys or tab, then it reads male or female, whatever option. So I mean, what could be the bug there, and how do
There's
we?
no bug. There's no bug. See, there are different ways. I'll show you.
Out of edit paragraph block document, out of document clickable HTML edit multi-line less div role equals list greater.
I'm going to the radio.
No next radio button. No previous radio. Out of edit out of region main menu nav. No next radio edit page test page.
Okay.
Test page bullet digital A11. Links main landmark password must be 8 characters. Radio button not checked male. Male. Radio button not checked female. Female.
You see that? When I'm using arrow keys, first it says radio button male, radio button, then male, radio button female, then female. Why? Because instead of using for and ID attribute, we used ARIA label. So what happens is the ARIA label is for the form control, which is the radio button. And we associated it with differently, correct? Like you associated the form control. The text is separate from it. See, there are two things that here. There is the element and there is the label. You read the element's accessible name, and the label, the visible label is a text string, correct? It is always there.
This is a female. Radio button not checked female, male. Radio button not checked male.
So that is a text string. One is the accessible name that is coming from the radio button that sighted people will never see. They only see the radio button.
But from usability perspective, from screen reader usability perspective, it's too much to hear again and again same information, right?
That's why we use tab.
I've seen kind of things read thrice also.
No, you are not supposed to raise this as a failure. They have nothing to do with accessibility failures. These are all acceptable techniques in programming language to make sure that accessibility is available, like, you know, the same functionality and the controls are accessible.
Okay.
If you
password must be 8 characters minimum and be strong. Follow best practices gender.
Okay. So
what edit page you are currently.
Yes.
If there is an redundancy for any, form element like radio button using a title attribute along with label tag associating it. So it's not a failure according to accessibility.
When you say redundancy, if it says male, male once, not a. Like it keeps on saying male, 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 then, you know, there's a. See, a lot of it, if you go to fundamentals of our first meeting, I always say, look at the context, correct? When you look at the context, when you call something a WCAG accessibility failure, is it really hurting people with disabilities? Did you ask that question? Okay. When you say redundant, they gave the label and they gave the title attribute. If it multiple times it's webboards, then you might need to think. And you have to fail it in the accessible name is not meaningful.
Okay.
You understood? This happens mostly with JavaScript related widgets.
Okay.
Link skip, make clickable HTML. Less input type equals rate, less span greater gender, less span ID
also,
equals D1, line greater, line.
Yes, Neha?
Yeah. These days, there is another thing I'm saying. Here we hear the radio button first and the content then, but I'm also seeing different kind of development. First, whole content is right, then whether it is checkbox, radio button, that kind. So what do you call that? I mean, for
Poor
failure
design.
or
Poor design. Ideally, for radio buttons, if you see the code that we wrote the input type radio and then the label for that radio button.
yeah.
According to HTML, the radio button should come first and then the label. Same for the checkbox. Whereas for
Yeah.
text fields, if you see the text fields, the label is first, whichever the visible text string is the first thing, then you see the text field.
Mhm. Okay.
You understood?
Yes,
Okay.
got.
Less span blank. Less. BR greater.
And thanks, Neha. You made me remember the break tag because
Less span great.
it's confusing.
Less input type less type radio. ARIA. Label equals male greater less A L E quote greater space and A L E equals quote G E N D E R quote less input type rate ARIA label female greater less quote F E N A F E quote greater space and A L E equals quote G E N D E R quote less input type equals radio ARIA label equals male name equals gender greater less label greater male less slash label greater less input type equals radio ARIA label equals female name equals gender greater less label greater female less slash label greater.
Let's save
Out of edit
this.
read dot click save draft button.
What I did is I gave the
draft
name
save.
attribute.
Test page bullet did busy. Test page bullet clickable link main landmark article confirm password edit has autocomplete blank. Mail radio button not checked 1 of 2.
You see the difference now? I'm going back again.
Confirm password edit has autocomplete blank. Mail radio button not checked 1 of 2.
Yeah,
Neha,
it's
Pranita,
saying one of
Harshini.
two.
And you know
Yeah,
what?
1 of 2.
I'm using down arrow
Yeah.
now.
Female radio button checked 2 of 2.
I'm using up arrow.
Male radio button checked 1 of 2.
I'm using up
So
arrow.
this is
Female radio button checked 2 of 2.
whichever you are navigating, it's choosing that. I mean, selecting that.
Whichever arrow keys I'm using, it is selecting
Yeah.
that. Yes. And all I did is
Edit page. Edit clickable HTML edit. Edit less slash form greater. Less input type equals radio ARIA label equals female name equals gender greater less label greater female.
I gave the name attribute gender same. The name attribute for the form control in those radio buttons should be the same.
Okay, if the name attribute value is different, then we will not be able to
Less
navigate.
type radio ARIA label name gender greater E N D E R quote R quote.
I removed R.
Out of edit read document clickable save draft but saving unavailable draft saved. Test page bullet digital A11Y busy. Test page bullet clickable main landmark. Mail radio button not checked 1 of 1.
I removed just R. No?
No.
Female radio button not
One.
checked 1 of 1. Checked.
Even arrow keys will not work.
Got it.
And if you see 1 of 1, that's a failure.
Yes.
Okay. 1 of 1, that is a failure. Remember, anywhere you have this radio button or there, when we do design patterns, ARIA design, it should say how many elements are there. If there are 10 items, it should say 1 of 10. If it says 1 of 1, it's a failure. And earlier when the name attribute is not there, you're navigating with tab. It's not working with arrow keys at all. But visibly a sighted person can see how many radio buttons are there. The same is not exposed to you as assistive technology user. Fail it then also.
Understood.
Yeah, understood.
Because the programmatic association of these radio buttons with the name attribute is missing. You understood?
Yes.
Neha, Harshini.
Yeah.
Yes, Raghav. Understood.
Okay. Okay, it is
Now
time.
shall we
It's
shall we associate the gender
yes,
group label?
we'll do that.
Edit. Menu button collapsed sub. Clickable HTML. Edit. Less slash form greater. Less in. Label greater. Less slash form. Label greater. Less input type equals radio ARIA. Less input type equals left. Type radio ARIA. Female. Quote N A E quote equals quote out of spelling error quote spelling error out of R
So
out of document clickable save draft saving test busy test page bullet link skip to content main landmark male radio button not checked 1 of 2 female radio button.
So if the name attribute is same, again 1 of 2, 2 of 2, it will come. You can work with arrow keys also. Okay. Sometimes Neha, Harshini, and Pranita, when you're checking any of e-commerce, if up and down arrow doesn't work, check with right and left.
Male radio button, female radio.
Right and left arrow, because for custom controls, keyboard event handlers are how they are defined. Some people think it is, since the radio buttons are aligned horizontally, they give right and left arrow keys.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Pranita will cover group association, checkboxes, and other things in next class.
A session. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Let me just stop the recording.
If you like the video, do like and subscribe.